Here's a question almost nobody asks until it's too late. What if the biggest threat to your teeth after 60 isn't sugar, isn't genetics, and isn't even the bacteria your dentist keeps lecturing you about? Every year, millions of older adults are told the same tired story that bleeding gums, shrinking gums, and sudden tooth sensitivity are simply part of getting older. It sounds reasonable. It's repeated so often that most people never question it. But what if that's only half the truth, and the other half is something almost nobody talks about? Two people, same city, same dentist, same twice-a-day brushing routine for 30 years. On paper, their habits are identical. And yet 20 years from now, one is still biting confidently into a crisp apple at 80, laughing with a full smile at a family dinner. The other is quietly avoiding cold drinks, hiding a mouthful of loose teeth and exposed roots, dreading every dental visit. Same habits, same dentist, completely different outcomes. So what, exactly, is creating that gap? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on two ancient oils that have quietly protected oral health across parts of Asia for thousands of years, long before modern dentistry ever existed. We'll look at why modern researchers are suddenly taking a second, serious look at them, what the actual science says, and how a simple 6-minute nighttime routine may help support stronger, healthier gums as you age. This isn't a miracle cure. It's about finally understanding what's really happening inside your mouth while you sleep, every single night. So stay with us until the very end, because we're covering the exact order this routine needs to follow to work. The one timing mistake almost everyone makes, the honest truth about whether gums can actually grow back, and what a medical text written over 2,000 years ago said about oral health long before a single dental clinic existed. And if you enjoy learning practical health tips for seniors, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop yes in the comment section before you go, because the next few minutes might completely change how you think about your gums and what you do tonight. The science of oil pulling. For countless generations, traditional healers across various cultures have relied on a practice known as oil pulling, swishing oil around the mouth for extended periods. And it turns out that modern clinical research actually has quite a lot to say in support of it. A widely cited 2009 study published in the Indian Journal of Dental Research put oil pulling directly up against a well-known prescription mouthwash containing chlorhexidine, the type of rinse that can easily cost $30 or $40 per bottle at the pharmacy. The results were genuinely striking. Oil pulling held its own remarkably well, with researchers finding its antimicrobial effectiveness essentially equal to that expensive prescription rinse. That's not a small or trivial claim to make. It suggests that something as simple, as inexpensive, and as accessible as swishing oil in your mouth for a few minutes each day may rival treatments that the dental industry markets and sells as premium, cutting-edge solutions. More recent research has continued to add further support to these findings. A 2022 meta-analysis, pulling together results from multiple oil pulling studies rather than looking at just one isolated trial, confirmed that the practice significantly reduces harmful bacteria in the mouth. For older adults especially, where gum health has increasingly been linked in research to broader systemic issues like cardiovascular health and even certain aspects of cognitive function, this kind of accumulating evidence is genuinely worth paying close attention to, not dismissing as folk medicine. But here's the critical piece that almost every modern study seems to consistently miss. Most contemporary research tests a single oil in complete isolation, usually either coconut oil on its own or sesame oil on its own, measuring its effects independently. Ayurvedic tradition, however, never relied on just one oil by itself when addressing serious gum concerns. Practitioners going back roughly 3,000 years understood, through generations of careful observation, that pairing two very specific ingredients together created a combined synergistic effect that neither ingredient could ever hope to achieve on its own. In many ways, modern science is essentially rediscovering, one narrow and isolated study at a time, what traditional practitioners already understood as a complete, integrated system centuries ago. how sesame and clove work together. Using just one of these ingredients on its own only gets you partway there, but combining sesame oil and clove creates something far more effective, a targeted two-part treatment where each ingredient does a job the other one simply can't. Sesame oil, the lint roller. Think of cold-pressed sesame oil as functioning almost like a lint roller for your entire gum line. As you swish it slowly and deliberately around your mouth, the oil physically lifts and loosens bacteria that have burrowed deep into your gum tissue over time, unsticking them from the pockets where they've taken hold and made themselves comfortable. On its own, though, sesame oil doesn't actually destroy or kill anything. It simply frees the bacteria from their hiding spots, leaving them exposed and floating loose in your mouth, but very much still alive and capable of reattaching themselves right back where they came from. Clove, the destroyer. This is precisely where clove comes into the picture, acting almost like a precision demolition tool, working right alongside the lint roller. Crushed cloves release a naturally occurring compound called eugenol, and eugenol has been shown in laboratory research to break down and destroy the cell walls of bacteria on direct contact. Once those bacteria have been pulled loose and exposed by the sesame oil, the eugenol moves in immediately and finishes the job thoroughly. The combination of sesame and clove, put the two ingredients together, and you end up with a combination that works almost like a skilled surgeon making a precise incision, rather than a blunt instrument swinging wildly. Compare this targeted approach to alcohol-based mouthwashes, which wipe out essentially every type of bacteria in your mouth indiscriminately, both the harmful strains and the beneficial ones you actually need for a healthy oral microbiome. That kind of scorched earth, take-no-prisoners approach often backfires badly over time, because when you eliminate all bacteria without any distinction, the harmful, opportunistic strains tend to repopulate and multiply faster than the beneficial ones do, leaving your mouth in a worse microbial balance than it was in before you even started rinsing. The sesame and clove combination, by clear contrast, targets the specific problem strains while leaving the beneficial bacteria that support genuine long-term oral health largely undisturbed and intact. The three-step nightly protocol. Now let's walk through exactly how to put this into practice, because the sequence and order genuinely matter here, and skipping steps or doing them out of order will significantly limit how effective the whole routine ends up being. This entire process should happen every single night, right before you go to bed, giving the active ingredients a full 7 to 8 uninterrupted hours to work their way through your mouth while you sleep peacefully. Step 1. The saltwater rinse. Bacteria, it turns out, are surprisingly clever. Over time, they build tiny protective barriers around themselves that oil alone simply cannot break through effectively. That's exactly why the very first step in this protocol is a simple saltwater rinse. Mix about 1 tablespoon of warm water together, with just a small pinch of Himalayan pink salt. Then rinse this solution thoroughly along your gum line for a full 60 seconds, making sure to reach every area. This process creates microscopic cracks in the bacteria's protective walls, essentially softening up their defenses and preparing the ground for what comes next in the routine. Step 2. The sesame and clove oil swish. Take 5 whole cloves and crack them open carefully using the back of a spoon. Then drop the cracked cloves directly into 2 teaspoons of cold-pressed sesame oil. Let this mixture sit undisturbed for about 30 seconds so the oil has time to begin drawing out the eugenol from the clove pieces, then strain out the solid clove fragments before using it. Add a tablespoon of plain water to thin the mixture slightly, which helps it flow into and reach the tighter, more hidden spaces along your gum line. Swish this thin mixture vigorously throughout your mouth, and build up your endurance gradually over the following weeks. Aim for about 60 seconds during week 1, then work up to 3 full minutes by week 2, and eventually a full 5 minutes by week 3. When you finish swishing, spit the mixture directly into the trash rather than into your sink, since oil residue can gradually clog household drains over repeated use. Then wait roughly 60 seconds before rinsing your mouth out with plain water. Step 3. The turmeric paste. Here's a step that people frequently overlook or skip entirely, but it may honestly be the single most important part of actually stopping recession in its tracks. Even after harmful bacteria have been thoroughly cleared out of your mouth, your immune system may still be misfiring out of sheer habit, continuing to attack your own gum tissue even without an active bacterial threat present. This final step sends what you might think of as a clear ceasefire signal directly to your body's immune response. Mix about half a teaspoon of turmeric powder with a small amount of water until it forms a thick, workable paste. Using a clean fingertip, apply this paste directly along your gum line, working it in with small circular motions for a full 60 seconds. Then allow it to sit undisturbed for another complete minute before rinsing it away thoroughly. The active compound found in turmeric, known as curcumin, has been examined across numerous clinical trials over the years, and the accumulated research consistently points toward meaningful, measurable reductions in gum inflammation. For older adults dealing with chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout the body, this particular step may genuinely be doing more heavy lifting than any other single part of the entire routine. The 21-day implementation plan. If you're over 60, or honestly at pretty much any age, jumping straight into the complete full routine on your very first night can easily cause unnecessary sensitivity and discomfort. Your gums genuinely need time to adjust gradually, so this implementation plan has been carefully designed to ease you into the full protocol over the course of 3 complete weeks. During days 1 through 3, stick exclusively to just the saltwater rinse portion of the routine. This alone gives your gums a real chance to begin adjusting to the new routine without overwhelming your mouth all at once. From days 4 through 7, add in the sesame and clove oil swish, but keep the duration brief, just 1 single minute at this stage, and hold off entirely on introducing the turmeric paste during this particular stretch of days. By day 8 through 21, you can confidently move into the complete 6-minute protocol in full, combining the salt rinse, the oil swish, and the turmeric paste together, and you should continue this complete, unabridged routine every single night from day 8 through day 21, and well beyond that point. This gradual, staged buildup isn't simply about physical comfort during the process. It allows your body, and particularly your immune response specifically, to adjust incrementally in stages, rather than being shocked all at once into a completely new and unfamiliar routine overnight. Crucial mistakes to avoid. Even with an otherwise solid and well-executed routine, there are a handful of common habits that can quietly and silently undo all of your hard-earned progress, and they're genuinely worth calling out directly and clearly. Alcohol mouthwash. Avoid using alcohol-based mouthwash altogether, and especially avoid it first thing in the morning. After spending an entire night carefully building up a favorable bacterial environment throughout your mouth, an alcohol-based rinse the very next morning can wipe that hard-won progress out almost immediately, effectively resetting your mouth right back to square one. It's a bit like spending hours tending a garden overnight, only to pour weed killer on it before breakfast. If you enjoy the feeling of a mouthwash rinse, look for an alcohol-free option instead, so you're not accidentally undoing the very work you just put in the night before. Hard toothbrushes. If you're still using one, ditch the hard bristle toothbrush as soon as possible. Switch over to a soft bristle brush right away, without delay. Hard bristles don't just clean your teeth thoroughly, they actively scrape away and damage the fragile gum tissue that you're working so hard to protect and encourage to heal. Many people over 60 grew up being taught that scrubbing harder means cleaning better, but when it comes to gum tissue, that old habit can quietly work against everything this protocol is trying to accomplish. Quitting too early. This might genuinely be the most important mistake of all to avoid. Don't give up and quit too early in the process. Most people who try this routine end up giving up somewhere around the 10-day mark, simply because they haven't yet noticed any dramatic, visible changes in the mirror. But here's the important thing to understand. The very first genuine sign that healing is underway usually isn't something you can actually see with your eyes at all. It's something you feel instead. Specifically, a noticeable and welcome drop in sensitivity to cold water, and this particular sign typically shows up somewhere between day 7 and day 10 of the protocol. If you're only paying close attention to visible changes in the mirror, you might completely miss this important early signal and end up walking away right before things genuinely start turning a corner for the better. Give it the full 3 weeks before judging whether it's working, because the visible changes almost always arrive later than the internal ones. Now, let's have an honest, candid conversation about what this routine realistically can and cannot do, because properly managing your expectations matters enormously here. Your gums are not going to magically grow back to exactly where they were sitting years or even decades ago. Once gum tissue has been lost, the human body generally does not regenerate it back on its own, through this method or any other. That's simply the biological reality of the situation, and no amount of dedicated oil pulling or turmeric paste application changes that fundamental fact. But here's the genuinely encouraging part of this whole story. This roughly 2,700-year-old traditional practice isn't really designed around regrowing tissue that's already been lost. It's fundamentally about halting the chronic, ongoing inflammation that's been slowly and steadily eating away at your gums in the first place, year after year. Once that underlying inflammation is finally addressed and brought firmly under control, the recession itself tends to stop advancing any further. That means the gum tissue you still currently have gets a genuine chance to hold its position, stabilize properly, and heal as much as it reasonably can, rather than continuing to erode away further, month after month, year after year, indefinitely. For seniors and older adults who have watched this slow recession creep steadily along for years, sometimes even decades, that fundamental shift alone, moving from ongoing continuous loss to genuine long-term stability, can make an absolutely enormous difference in day-to-day comfort, reduced sensitivity, and overall confidence in your smile going forward. Think about what that really means in practical terms. Less sensitivity when you drink something cold. Less worry every time you catch a glimpse of your smile in a photo or a mirror. Fewer awkward moments hesitating before you laugh freely or bite into something you actually enjoy. These small, everyday improvements add up to something much bigger over time. A sense of control over your own health instead of quietly watching it decline. And unlike expensive procedures that only address the surface, this approach works with your body's own healing process, giving your immune system the chance to calm down and finally stop working against you. So here's what I'd encourage you to do. Don't wait for another year to pass, hoping the problem simply resolves itself. Start tonight with just the saltwater rinse, follow the 21-day plan exactly as laid out, and give your body the time it genuinely needs to respond. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.